Spiritual Teaching 167. Love each other. 1. From many hearts this question rises to God. Lord, the pain that afflicts this world, will it last forever? To which I say, no, my dearly beloved children, your pain will disappear when you find true love. 2. Although much is said about love on earth, in reality it does not exist between you. There are those who fake it, others mistake it for a selfish feeling, and others for a low passion. Falsehood reigns in the human heart. Lies prevail, love, friendship, charity are faint. The weed has grown and spread everywhere, and only the fire of pain will be the one that ends up exterminating it. 3. That fire will be kindled by men with their wars of ideas, creeds, philosophies, and sciences. Is the war that is approaching with great strides. There, in that fire that will be ignited by its own ambitions, passions, and hatreds will find their purification. They wanted it that way. They demanded it that way. 4. How is it going to be possible for men to love each other as brothers if they have not come to cleanse their hearts? It is that a great test is needed in the world so that they come out clean, because pain purifies. 5. I also say to you, men must believe in men, have faith and trust each other, because you must convince yourselves that on earth you all need everyone. 6. Do not think that I am flattered when you say that you have faith in me and I know that you doubt the whole world, because what I hope from you is that you love me through the love that you give to your fellow men, forgiving others who offend you, imparting charity to the poorest, smallest, or weakest, loving your brothers without distinction, and putting in all your works the greatest disinterest and truth. 7. Learn from me that I have never doubted you, that I have faith in your salvation, and trust that you will rise to reach true life. 8. Although on the outside there is much falsehood in the works of men, there is no one inside of which there is not a part of truth. That part is the spark of the spiritual light that it carries. It is my divine presence, a flash that internally is lighting it up. I will make that light that is mine shine in each heart, and that its reflection manifest in each of your works. 9. I want you to live in the truth, and for this, all evil must die. Those of you who are aware of the hour that is approaching, watch and pray from today. Proclaim that battle as prophets to your brothers, so that you prepare and do not despair in the moments of bitterness during the coming fight. 10. Be convinced that all lands will bear fruit when they are ready. My seed is ready to descend on them. Each human being will be a plant that flourishes and bears fruits of love, thus fulfilling the destiny of everything created. 11. In the vegetable kingdom there are parasitic, useless plants. Do not imitate their example. 12. Do you know why the Father expects from you only fruits of love? Because the seed of life that I put in each creature, the original seed, was love. 13. If sometimes, as happens in plants, you have apparently dried up, if you have withered at times, or have you felt the anguish of thirst, it is not because the water of my grace has lacked in you. My source of love has eternally overflowing over every spirit and over every heart like a watering of life. But these human plants, endowed with spirit, they have free will, and because of the misuse of that precious gift, they turn away from that divine grace, which is the only thing that can save and strengthen the spirit. How different you are from the plants on earth that be always submissive in their place. They receive whatever comes from the charity of God. 14. You all think you have loved in your life, and I tell you, there has been those who have truly loved, while others confuse the passions and selfishness with love. 15. I gave you the perfect lesson through Jesus. Analyze my passage through the world as a man from birth to death, and you will have explained love in a living and perfect way. 16. I do not come to ask you to be equal to Jesus, because in him there was something that you cannot achieve, to be perfect as a man. Since who was in him was God himself in a limited way. But I tell you that you must imitate him. 17. My eternal law has always spoken to you of that love. I told you in the early days. You will love God with all your heart and spirit. You will love your neighbor as yourself. 18. Later I gave you these inspirations. Love your brothers as the Father has loved you. Love each other. 19. In this time I have revealed to you that you love God before everything created. That you love God and everything created and existing in God. That you practice charity and more charity with your brothers so that you may see your Father in all his splendor, because charity is love. 20. Never as now has man been in a position to love, through a spiritual worship, free from impurities. The pagan and Gentile times have remained distant. Idolatry, which has been present in all cults and at all times. It has weary spirits with its materialism and its false splendor. 21. The generations that give rise to the spiritual worship of my divinity are coming from all points of the earth. And when that worship establishes a kingdom of peace and light among humanity, religious fanaticism will disappear from men, because in spirituality, passions and ignorance have no place. 22. Not because you look long at the road, do you stop thinking that you will never reach the end. Go ahead, because a moment that you lose, your spirit will cry later. Who told you that in this world is the goal? Who has taught you that death is the end and that at that moment you can reach my kingdom? 23. Death is like a brief sleep, after which, once the strength has been restored, the spirit will awaken under the caress of my light, like a new day that begins for him. 24. Death is the key that opens the doors of the prison in which you find yourself by being attached to matter, and is, at the same time, the key that opens the doors of eternity. 25. This planet, converted by human imperfections into the Valley of Atonement, has been captivity and exile for the spirit. 26. Truly I tell you that life on earth is one more degree on the scale of life. Why don't you understand? So that you take advantage of all his lessons. It is the reason why many have to return to it, over and over, because they did not understand or make use of their previous life. 27. In the men of tomorrow there will be so much spirituality and understanding in the evolution of their spirit, that when they enter agony and find themselves one step away from death, they and those who accompany in that hour, that moment as the most beautiful of all your existence, that which should be as the culmination of a full and fruitful life, and can say like their master on the cross, everything is accomplished. 28. I come to speak to you in a fatherly tone and with simple language, full of mysteries as you awaited my new manifestation at this time. And great has been your surprise as you contemplate the simplicity of my lessons and the humility in the way of speaking to you. 29. Elijah arrived like a ray of light in the middle of a storm, followed by his invisible hosts, his great legions of spirits of light, who follow him as sheep follow the shepherd. Walk making way for the crowds, knocking down briars and thorns left and right to make a breach to those who come after him, and uniting the spirits who recognize in his voice that of the spiritual shepherd who at this time will lead them, even to me. 30. Don't you remember that it was Elijah's sheep that gave you testimony of my presence and invited you to join the flock, to follow in the footsteps of the spiritual shepherd? 31. Get up, humanity. Find the way. Find the reason for life. Unite peoples with peoples. Love each other. How thin is the wall that divides one home from another? And yet how far apart are its inhabitants of one another? And on the borders of your peoples, how many conditions for you to let the foreign enter? And if you do this between humans, what have you done with those who are in another light? Put between they and you, is it not the veil of your forgetfulness, and that of your ignorance which is like dense darkness? 32. When I contemplate the inhabitants of this world, I see that all the peoples know my name, that millions of men speak my words, and yet I tell you truly that I do not see the love of each other. 33. Everything that I teach you at this time, and everything that happens in the world, is the explanation and the fulfillment of the revelation that through my apostle John, I made to humanity. When my disciple dwelling on the island of Patmos, I took him in spirit to the heights, to the divine plane, to the unfathomable, to show you by means of symbols the beginning and the end, the Alpha and the Omega. And he saw the events that were, those that are, and those that were to be. 34. He understood nothing for the moment, but my voice said to him, what you see and hear, write it down, and he wrote. John also had disciples who sought him out in his retirement by crossing the sea in boats. Eagerly those men asked the one who was a disciple of Jesus what the master had been like, what his word and his miracles were like. And John, imitating his Lord in love and wisdom, amazed them with his word. But when it came to old age, that body already weighed down by time, still had the strength to bear witness to its master and tell his disciples, love one another. Those who were looking for him, seeing that the day of John's departure was approaching, and wanting to possess all the wisdom that apostle treasured, they asked him to reveal to them how much from his master he had learned. And for every answer they always heard that phrase, love one another. 35. Those who asked with so much eagerness and interest felt disappointed and thought that old age had erased from his memory the words of Christ. 36. I tell you that John had not erased a single of my words, but of all my lessons as a single essence, that which condenses the whole law, sprang forth, the love of one another. 37. How could the lesson of the master who he loved so much be erased from that beloved disciple? 38. Do you know, disciples of this time, if the year 1950, the last year of my communication, has also come, says for every lesson, love one another. Everything in your path tells you about these lessons. The tree, spreading its foliage to give you shade. The flower shedding after you breathe in its perfume and turning their sacrifice to your delight. 39. That is the way. That is why I have told you to love God and everything created and all creation in God. Because in everything I am present, and in everything I speak to you. 40. I see all men sick, whether of body or spirit, men in whose interior only the constant call of consciousness. Seek me as a source of health, because I possess the balm that heals all evils. But for me to manifest my power among you, you must present to me your heart clean of spots. 41. You want me to pour out my power and my wonders in your path, and I am ready to grant it to you. My arcane only awaits your preparation to overflow in health, strength, and light. 42. Today my word cultivates you. It is seed and irrigation at the same time. And tomorrow, when the time is right, I will come to harvest the harvest of love, the golden wheat of my countryside. 43. You wonder why I am always correcting your faults and imperfections. It is that I come to cut the weeds and the nettle that have grown in your heart and have drowned your good feelings. 44. This time is of purification. Not only human beings will have to wash their stains in the crystalline waters of my justice. Spirits are also subject to this purification. 45. When men are clean of every stain, they will feel that earth is approaching heaven. That approach will be spiritual and will fill you with peace, trust, and recognition. 46. Disciples. If in your rest you take care to analyze my word, you will come to find in its essence a complete reason and infinite justice. My word awakens men to a high life, to a happy existence. But if it was necessary to speak to you in this way to wake you up, there have been some worlds for whom the materialization of the spiritual has not been necessary to awaken them to the compliance with my law. 47. Intuitive spiritualists, inspired ones, dreamers, those carry me in their hearts without having heard the word that you have been receiving, have long been communicating spiritually with your master. 48. You will meet them on your way and you will be surprised by their knowledge in my work. They too, when they find you, they will rejoice in confirming their ideas and works, in listening to your testimony and your explanations, but that they do not find in your concepts, practices, and worship or in your life something that denies the spirituality of my doctrine, because then they will move away from your path with disappointment in their hearts. Watch and pray, disciples, that you understand my lesson and apply it in your life with the same purity with which you have received. Then there will be great joy in your hearts when you meet those whom I have called intuitive spiritualists, one and the other. You will come to form a strong people in the world, who with their living and their love of neighbor, come to teach humanity the true worship of God, and also point out the path of goodwill to live at peace on earth. 49. In the humility of your prayer you say to me, Lord, if you are the supreme maker, and also our Father, do with us what you please. If it is in your will that pain be the one that polishes our heart, do it in us, that which your will has arranged. If you want us to purify ourselves before you entrust us with a mission, whatever you have ordered. 50. Few people speak to me like this, but I use them to give you an example of what yours should be. Meekness and submission to my commands. I am giving my teaching to all of you so that you may become equally humble and obedient. 51. Sometimes my word will seem full of justice and will touch the sensitivity of those who listen to it. But always you will find it impregnated with the divine essence, with great tenderness and infinite charity, which will make it always listened with delight and interest. 52. If my word were to overwhelm you, you could not analyze it, and I want you to meditate on the divine lessons that I teach you, because he who analyzes is inspired, and he who is inspired by divine love, that is already my disciple. 53. O spiritualist disciples, do not fear the fulfillment of your mission, because it is not difficult to fulfill. With wisdom I guide you on the way so that you do not stumble, so that no one gets lost. But not because I prepare the way for you. You think it is strewn with roses. No, in it you will find thorns and thistles. 54. I tell you, whoever wants to follow me or whoever wants to find me must prefer the path of sacrifice and renunciation to that of the insane pleasures and low passions, because on that path you can find the joys that my strength and encouragement give you, and in other paths stumble very painfully. My divine footprint, my footprint of love, you will always find it on the path of struggle, sacrifice, charity, and humility. 55. Men are like children who do not meditate on the consequence of their actions, and that is why they fail to understand that a stumbling block that they find in their way is only an obstacle that the master put to stop their insane race or to avoid making a bad determination. 56. I want you to already behave as adults, to meditate on your works, your actions, to think of your words. This is the way to apply prudence and justice to your life. In addition, you must reflect that life is an immense and constant test for the spirit. 57. On my way no one succumbs, and although there are times when man falls under the weight of the cross, one superior strength lifts you up and encourages you. That strength comes from faith. 58. Disciples, truly I tell you, if the people practice my teaching, the good news of my word would have reached many hearts. With the example of the works of your life, you would be giving the greatest of testimonies about the truth of my doctrine. 59. Let no one believe that those present are destined to do everything. No people, each generation is in charge of performing of a part of my work. 60. Make your heart a vessel and let the moment come to overflow in the hearts of your brothers. But do not form obstacles that delay or impede the advancement of my doctrine, because with great pain of the matter or of the spirit, you would have to destroy them. 61. Make your brothers feel all that is healthy and good in my work. I tell you that everyone who ever makes you feel the divine effluvium that emanates from it, that one will bless my word. 62. What I have done with you, I will grant you to do with your brothers, because if my word was what worked the miracle, that word you carry in your heart, and it is the same that you must transmit to your brothers. 63. If I healed you of the spirit and of the body, if I restored your peace or caused faith to be born in your heart and took you out of the abyss, you must do the same with all the needy. But I must warn you that for my word to work those miracles, it is essential that you first feel it in your heart, as your Father feels it when He gives it to you. 64. If you want to know the virtue and power of my word, put it into practice, and many times you will be amazed. But if you keep in your heart only for your own pleasure, you will be like the rich miser, who does not know what he has or the value of what you have, because your treasure is a dead wealth. 65. Learn to fish hearts in the storms of this life, to heal the sick, and to lead spirits. Get ready spiritually, and in this you will find a strength that will allow you to go through trials with serenity and confidence. This spirituality will be reflected in your material life, and it will be sustenance, balm, and torch that illuminates your path. 66. Bread will become scarce on the table of your home, without your body experiencing hunger or found weak in their energies. Days of pain and desolation will come, when epidemics devastate the cities, and where there would not be a doctor, nor would there be medicines, my invisible balm will manifest itself, which will descend into the moment of my children's prayer. But you must make merits before the days of desolation draw near, so that instead of worrying about your own pain, go to calm your brothers. 67. Light lamps of faith in the hearts of your brothers. Teach them to pronounce my name with all respect, to venerate my doctrine, and to pray with the Spirit. Remember that man does not live by bread alone, but also by every word that comes from God. My peace be with you.